Hi, good morning, everyone. Today is August the 14th, 2019, and Michael and I are really excited to share another self-discovery tool. It is an integral part of our Game Changer YouTube channel and of the Game Changer new book that's out. We are the co-authors. So today what we're going to do is this will be our fifth segment. We've talked about all the different kind of self-discovery tools from just personal to compatibility to friends and intimacy to family. And today what we're going to actually talk about is the Business Associate Report, an incredible investment, okay? Personally, over the years, working with my clients, I work with them on a professional level and for their business, and then a personal level. And so a few years ago, a client, had approached me, highly professional woman, and that had a company that she was thinking of bringing in a new associate. And intuitively, she sensed there could be a challenge, and I felt there could be. So we had got the business associate report, and what she agreed to do was to have every one of her employees, or like they were contractors, do the personal destiny report, and then put together what Michael's going to share with you today, how all her individuals would work together, okay? It was a fabulous process for her. So once they were all done, she gave everybody their reports. They had to see how they were working with each other. She actually set up a time and took all of her employees away on a retreat weekend, and they discussed it. And her business just bloomed because they seen, rather than be in competition with ego, it's got to be my way. It's how can we work together as a group, create a lot of synergy so that it benefits of us all, and there's a tremendous amount of growth in that industry. So Michael, you can talk to them today, what we're going to share, and we'll tell you how you can, in fact, get this report from us at the end. Okay, Michael, you can go ahead, and it's your spiel now.
Okay, so like you're saying, we found particularly valuable in a business or organization, right, where there can be internal conflicts, personality conflicts, etc. And once they got a hold of this report, it gave them some clear instruction and insight into the other people around them, and so how to interact with them in a professional business level that you become most productive. Okay, as you were saying. So if you've seen the first 4 or 5 of our segments, this is our 5th, you said, right?
Yeah.
This follows in order, and it's a similar type of procedure. All right. And so we'll go through it now. I'm going to bring it up and share it.
So you're going to do our report as you and I would be in business.
That's right. We're going to do your and my business report together, and let's see how we would do together in a business. All right. So again, the very first part of the report is instructional, and it's actually very clear. And if you haven't watched the first 4 segments, I would recommend that you do, because it will give you clear insight into, it's a similar process, but this will definitely help as you move through these reports. So here are the significant connections, okay, that we've generated from the software, from the program. This tells us how we're connected, all right, on a business point of view, right? And so the first, you can see again, it lists 10 connections. First being, again, the strongest influence. 10th being a little bit less of an influence, and it just goes progressively down to the 10th connection, right? So when we understand here that we are connected, and that the first most powerful connection for us, let's look at that. That's between Sandra and me. Sandra and I, it shows here clearly that we've had a past life together, all right? That spiritual part tells us that we've come back to have some unfinished business, all right? Now, if we look at the first connection, see, now here again, it's clearer, talks to you clearer about our significant cards and what they mean. In my case, it tells you clearly this is my birth card. It tells you who I am, so that if you're a business partner, you get a better understanding of me, for sure. You understand, you know, because we're all so different, right? These are all very personal cards. We'll work my way through my ruling card, which is the other strong significator, and then it will give you further insight. And then I get a chance to look at Sandra. I get a better understanding of who she is and how she sees the world. Now, this is her birth card. We're going to go through her planetary ruling card, all right? Kind of fills in the blanks a little bit from what might have been missed in the 8. Now I'm getting a pretty good picture of who Sandra is. And then she has a second karma card that is, it's in here somewhere, but it's part of the connection, right? So that's our connection. Now the first one is, Sandra is the Saturn card to Michael. And so Sandra, just give us a little bit of your insight into what Saturn really is, above and beyond what they're telling us in the report here.
Well, everybody thinks that Saturn is the hard card, okay? Because Saturn is really the teacher, okay? And so unless you have a strong Saturn influence, okay, you're never going to manifest, okay? And that's the interesting thing that people are having a hard time. It's like Jupiter. Everybody wants Jupiter because Jupiter is about the ideals and that type of thing. But Jupiter doesn't make it happen on this third dimension. And so a lot of people, oh, Saturn's too hard. Well, it doesn't matter. Saturn's the teacher, and life becomes your teacher. Okay. And so, because of course I am a Capricorn, which is my ruling card is Saturn, and I'm the 8, which is the work card, obviously it's going to be that we have to get real, to put it lightly.
Okay. So it tells me in this relationship that I'm receiving the Saturn influence from you. But because it's a spiritual connection, it's sort of not going to be negative, like Saturn can be, associated with hardship, restriction, losses, and difficulties of all kinds. In this case, you most likely wouldn't be critical to me except to offer advice if I asked for it, all right? So that if something was coming my way and I understood that coming from you, I would understand that it's likely you're not trying to be critical of me. You're trying to help me grow in a certain area or come to a better conclusion, right?
Right.
So after a while, I could learn to rely on that. I could say, well, Sandra, what do you think about this? Okay, and I would understand coming back at me, you're not being critical, but it's more helpful, right? So that's a really good thing, because if I didn't have this report, I might think that, damn, that Sandra's getting after me a lot, or she's kind of being, offering advice when it's kind of critical, but I understand a better way to look at it, right? And so that's a very natural process within our business relationship, all right? I understand it. It's the number one significator, right?
Right.
Connection. And so as we go through this first one.
Okay, and I think, Michael, if I can just say something, I think that's really interesting, because I've done work as a business consultant with different people. And how, like you and I will talk about different things and we look at it and it might seem that I am a little bit more real, okay? And it's interesting and I've worked with some really big business people and had to go like this with them. And There.
Well, what does that mean when you do that?
Well, when I do this, it's like, okay, stop. And some of them have been very, very powerful. Some of them have had staff of 300, and they go, no. And I go, no, stop. We need to stop right now. And actually, some have even come to tears. I go, this is for you and your company. What is best? It can't be just for you. Because if you're going to be the only one that is going to profit, it's not going to continually grow. Or I think you should really think about that from an investment point of view. Maybe do a little bit more due diligence and help them to become more intuitive so that they can make their own decisions. It's like they don't need me there all the time. But I have this process because of an 8 of spades, the 3 of clubs, being a Capricorn, and have had to do the hard work, okay? And that's what Saturn's about. There's no easy way of getting away with things. I mean, you had to learn to walk. You have to learn to stand on your own 2 feet. And if, in fact, you were going to be in business, you have made that decision to do it, so you've got to figure out how to grow it. So that's interesting. And you realize I'm never mean to be mean. For me, it's called tough love, because I see things a little bit different, but I also listen and I say, oh, okay, I think that's a great idea. Let's see if we can work this together. But this is perfect because some people can think that somebody is being mean to them, and they're not understanding. It's not mean. This is for the betterment of the business as a whole. Perfect.
Well, what I'm looking at here is that sometimes people get into business and it's a Neptunian kind of an energy, right? We're gonna like make $1 million. We're gonna it's just all this positive stuff, and that's great to get into a business being very positive. But this connection being the first one tells us to get real, right? Business is going to be a challenge. There's no way around for most people. They're going to do very well in business together, just everything go their way. It's going to be, well, Saturn. There's going to be Saturn in there. So I understand now that business between you and I will get very real very quickly. Now you can see down here that the affirmation for me,
right?
I realized I chose this relationship with Sandra to help me grow in an important area of my life or areas. With that in mind, I accept your suggestions and examples so I may learn and make progress in becoming a more successful and well-regarded business person. Now, Sandra, I understand I have the ability to see ways of improving Michael's performance and overall success, and I share suggestions with him with the awareness that I have a powerful effect on him. I'm honored to be his role model and teacher at this time in my life. So for you, when you realize that and you sit back and you go, that's my role with him, I am not going to be overbearing. I'm not going to be over controlling. And so you have a way to come after me, and that's more approachable to me, right? And I become less defensive. And so once we understand that, I mean, that we have synchronicity there, right?
Right. Well, and the interesting thing is, you know, from the very moment, even before I met you and we talked and looking at your chart and everything, you are the proverbial business person. If I was to say to somebody, if you want to know business, okay, I would say the challenge with you is you're so, so effective as an individual, and you had so much on your plate that you just kept going and going and going and going. And if I would have met you 10, 20 years ago, I know that I could have said to you, if we look at a larger platform, okay, you would have probably had a more expanded business. And
I don't doubt it. And to have had, a second co-creator there with me, that definitely things, I mean, when you're trying to do things on your own, it can be, no man's an island, right? And you try and keep your head above water, but you're right. I mean, having had you in my life, much earlier,
and that's
changed significantly for sure.
Yeah, and that's the power in this. If you can see the gift that each person brings to it. Okay, so
and ultimately in the end you would perhaps even, if there was enough friction in this report, you might even reconsider that individual, right, to be a partner with. But either way, it gives you very clear overall picture of your fit together. Exactly. So the second connection between you and I, we're Venus to each other in the life spread. So tell us just a brief bit about Venus again, right? Why would that be a good thing for you and I in this one?
Well, that's really good because, Venus is the ruler of Taurus and of Libra. So it's about balance and beauty. And so as soon as everybody hears Venus, their mind goes to romance and to love and that type of thing. The real Venus kind of energy comes to value and worth. Okay. And so when you work this Venus energy, it's helping each other to find their worth. And once you find your worth and your value, okay, that's when you look at your bank account. Okay. Because true worth and value, not ego, but putting ego aside, being with spirit, finding your pure worth and value will automatically take you out into the world in a business sense where you're giving that kind of energy. And so you're helping other people with that. So this is a very powerful one. And if I could just help people, and right now it's very prevalent because right now we have Uranus sitting in Taurus. Venus rules Taurus. And so for the next 7 years, people are going to struggle, have discord, and then awaken to their own value and worth. And how that is, to me, it's quite simple. When I have to do a reading, it's just like, what's your bank account like? What's your credit cards like? When they go, of what difference of what does that? Well, you can't run a business if it's not bringing in money. You're in delusion, or if you're having to and it's very prevalent over the years. I've worked with a lot of women that have businesses, but I say to them, you're playing business. They don't like to hear that, but they come back because I go, your husband is burning himself out subsidizing your business. This one's very powerful because as a business person, you stand on your own. And if somebody doesn't have the worth and value, they're not going to have the reality of what they need to do to help everybody create this business. Does that make sense?
Of course. And what I like in this, like I was able to read some of this while you were informing us there. Other connections may bring stress into this association. This connection will go a long way to smooth out any areas of difficulty. So, I mean, already to know that, Saturn's going to be there for us. And then yet we have the ability to smooth them out and move on and move past. That's a really good connection, and it's second in importance, right? So I'm happy to know that, right? It's not like we're going to have our back up against the wall and butt heads and then not be able to get past it. That's a tough way to do business, right?
So the interesting thing, the 3 is the creative ability, and the clubs is taking the intelligence into it, so there's more logic. Okay, third connection.
Okay, the third connection is Mars, Sandra. This is sort of the testosterone connection that we might share, right? What do you think about Mars?
Well, Mars is about action, okay? And so the bottom line is, if you really want to get basic, lead, follow, or get out of my way.
Okay.
If somebody's really tuned to spirit, and they're really going, and they have this intuition and knowing, they're just going to go plodding through. And somebody else that lives in a dream world or a virtual reality, or everything's going to be wonderful, there's going to be a conflict. Okay, so this is where Mars can create conflict. But if you can get through the conflict and act on it, like right now with what's happening in the cycles out there, Uranus is there and everybody, oh, everything's good, business, whatever. No, there's a lot of discord. So for 5 months, we're having to wake up to this process. So can you understand when you disagree on certain things, can it not be from personal ego, but can it come from spirit to see the business? So in any relationship, if we take, there's you, there's I, and there's the business relationship. And so can we get out of our own ways to discuss and communicate to create the action that's needed to make this business viable? Because to me, any business, the first thing I ask if I'm talking to business people, it's what's your return on your investment? Well, return on your investment. You're putting your time, your energy, you've put money into it. Is it giving you anything back? Does that make sense?
Of course.
That's all I know.
And it says here clearly that I need to be able to channel the energy that I'm receiving from you, right? In so that I would know, okay, I'm not going to get really defensive. I'm not going to get really angry about it. I'm going to find ways to use that same energy in a positive way. So it's giving me a heads up. I will experience Martian energy from you and how I can respond to that energy. And it's very intense. It's Martian. I mean, it says right clearly up here, it's the god of lust and war. So make peace, not war, right? So that's, for me, that's a really strong heads up. And I mean, I've read through all this and in the past. And so I understand again that I have an insight into how Sandra affects me, because ultimately this is a connection between, you're the Mars card to me. So I feel that energy more than you do. Okay. I feel it. And so when you're aware of it, you understand it. You understand the kind of energy you're giving me. I understand the kind of energy that I'm receiving from you, and that I need to channel that in a positive way.
You know what else I just realized? Just stop for 1 second. That's in the spiritual spread. Okay, so the interesting thing, if it was in the mundane spread, it's just like there. For me, the whole idea of our purpose is to evolve at a soul level. So when it comes to a spiritual element, it's not just of concern for the business in the external world, because your business in your external world is in direct relationship to what your soul evolution is. This is a very deep one, okay? And if
absolutely
would get that, the more that they can find balance and peace and wake up within. And that would be at times where I would say things to you and you might get angry, okay?
Or defensive, yeah, exactly, right?
And I didn't mean it. It's just that you're the one that said to me when I met you years ago, how do you know these things? Well, I've been all my life knowing. And I just had to say, well, it's just because I know. That's my gift, my intuition, that type of thing when I'm clear. And yet at times I can be like this, and I'm the first one to say, I don't know, I got to think about this.
Well, you can see the obvious benefit of both of us understanding this, and particularly in a business relationship where we're dealing, fast-paced pressures, finances, etc., right? And the affirmation for Sandra here, I am aware of how much I stimulate Michael and understand his feelings. With this awareness, I consciously guide my actions and help us both by encouraging positive outlets for this powerful energy we share. That's really something important for you to know too, right? So that you understand that you can temper, how the energy you send me in ways that are productive as opposed to counterproductive, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so then the fourth connection. Oh my gosh, we got Pluto. Sandra, what happens with Pluto?
Let me tell you, I know Pluto. Okay, Pluto was found when the nuclear bomb went off. So Pluto is total transformation. You don't get away with anything. And this is a powerful card for me because I have Pluto in my first house. So people will get pissed off at me just being in a room because I can see through them. No, it's true. I mean, I meet.
You just admitted that.
Oh, I mean, I'm having a session with my first teacher. 45 years ago was my first training. And so I've had courses with her, and I was in this group, and she said to everybody, I'm just sitting there, the third or fourth, never saying a word. And she said to everybody, does Sandra Alexia kind of piss you off? Or does she? And they go, yeah, we don't know why. And she goes, that's because she has Pluto in the first house. And Pluto is all about transformation. Transformation is shifting and changing at a cellular level, not superficial saying, oh yeah, I've changed. This is going to happen. I'm going to do. No, no, no. Talk is cheap. Show me the action, and change is not that easy. So this is a huge one, Michael, huge. And it's not an easy one. It's not easy for me as Plutonian. It's just, I know I'm here, which is the Eight of Spades, to help the transformation. So if you're willing, fine. There's nothing more I can do. It's not easy, but it's very, very enlightening. It's
transformational, right?
It's an raising of consciousness. That's all I can say.
So then again, you are that to me, all right? You're the Pluto card. So far I'm getting a lot of these types of energies. Sort of I'm on the receiving end of them. You're on the giving end, right? And so
right.
We'll go through this report and see if there aren't some where I influence you a little bit more.
I'm sure you do.
You're kind of like the bull,
but
I get the horn, right? So that well, that's good to know, though. You understand that.
Well, that's just it. But if we understand that, then I don't get it.
Right. That's all we're asking here.
Then I don't
get the fifth connection. Look at this one, Sandra. Finally, we are Jupiter to each other, other.
Right.
So I'm going back a little bit to you now.
Exactly. So once you get through, I call it the foundation to the house, a business. You build the business, it has a strong foundation, then it has a top floor, and then it's going to have a main floor and a top floor. And so the work that we did was in the basement. In a business, you have to have the energies that are conducive to growth. So if the people in the business in the basement are like this, you're never going to be able to build a really strong foundation. Would you not agree, Michael? You're the proverbial businessman.
Yeah, I'm reading this right here, Sandra. And to further that point, okay, like I said earlier, it seemed like a lot of these strong energies were coming at me from you. So, all right, I understand that, and I've been able to adapt to that and understand that it is beneficial to me. So I've channeled the energies in the right direction. Now we're getting to a point where it says that we are, this is a relatively rare influence, and it occurs in less than 1% of the population. If taken advantage of, this connection can bring some wonderful benefits, and it's probably the #1 best connection any two people in business can have together. So if I am able to get through the first 3 or 4 connections, I come now down to how we can make this work, right?
Exactly.
Okay, and it's pretty clear there that it is a very strong indicator that it can, okay? But I don't know, without knowing the first 3 or 4, and understanding how they apply, if I would get to the 5th, right? Because I'm getting a lot of strong, and it's Martian, it's Pluto, it's Saturn, it's really a lot of strong energy directed at me, right? So how comfortable would I be in that relationship, in that business relationship? I have then, okay, that's a question I would ask. But now as I go through this, if I can manage that part, I get to hear where it says that, okay, I think this could be something really special, right? 1% of the population has this connection.
And so the interesting thing is the power in this report for businesses. There is a tremendous amount of power. Get out of your own way. Look at your business, and over the next 5 months, right till January of 2020, you have an incredible time that's saying you want truth. You want your business to grow, then invest in something like this. Or are you going to live in your ego and in your delusion and just let it go? Okay. So take the time to really appreciate this. And the interesting thing is this connection is we understand. So we've had to go through the different hardships of it. So if you, in fact, want a successful business, you will connect with us, okay? Whether it's 2 in a business, 5 in a business, your own business, you're still working with a client. So maybe it's a business client. You have a big client that you want to work with. How are you going to handle that? So it's not just your own personal, this is my business, these are my employees. But if this is my business and I have a really big client that I want to have for years and create a lot of synergy, how are we going to work together? And so I think this is a great report, Michael. I think, and now it's up to the individual. I think this is about it for giving it, or do you want to show more on it?
Well, ultimately, Sandra, it comes down to people, right?
That's right.
This can be a lot of things, but ultimately it comes down to the people that are running and managing and owning these businesses and their interaction with each other and with their clients and customers. And so it's hugely people orientated, and that's what this is. And so, I mean, we really don't have to go through a bunch more. I think you get the idea. I did want to go right down to the last one because I liked it.
Okay.
It's kind of where I get a chance to go, oh, look, Sandra's the moon card to Michael. Although it's the weakest of the 10 connections, it still makes me feel good.
Right.
Because you think that the sun and everything, like it's all the moon, the sun, everything sets on me, right? You think that I'm a pretty good guy and you're really positive and supportive. And I'm the sun in the business relationship, right?
Sandra's the moon. Yeah. Well, no, I think it's really good. I mean,
I deserved it after the first 4 connections.
I know. No, I think that's really good. I've said to you, even when I first talked to you before I met, when I looked at your chart, it's not like you said, I do this, I am this. I went, no, you are a proverbial, and that's partly when I take this and I look at the chart, your astrology chart, your north node, you understand this because your north node is Capricorn, so you have that Saturnian energy. I mean, a lot of people, when I come at them and work with them, they just go, boo, they can't do it. But we were meant to come together, and I really think for business people, it's like, it's get out of your own way. And all I'm going to say is look at your figures. If you think you're a business person, just look at your ledger. Okay.
See, I would want to know this, Sandra. If I was in business, particularly if this moon connection was higher up, you know, the significant was closer to 1 or 2, because there's seriously a role that needs to be played by both partners. If one accepts the moon role and one accepts the sun role, the sun is kind of like the leader role, the moon is the supportive role. That can be a really effective connection. But if one of the two refuses to play that role, that friction is going to be there the whole time. So I would want to know that for sure if this was way higher up, right? Because I don't think you could be in business very long.
No.
Someone who was moon to a sun, but insisted on playing the sun role. It would be a friction all the time, right?
Right. But I think that's a really good point, because the interesting thing is that can only happen farther down in the chart when we've gone through the Pluto, the Saturn, the whatever. So the consciousness is raised and it's actually there. If that was too far up, as you say, it might not work. It might not be realistic. Somebody might be there, oh my God, that's a God, instead of saying, okay, what responsibility do I have? What responsibility do they have? What do we bring to the table? And to sum it up, I just want to say thank you, Michael. I think that was excellent. For anyone, I would strongly, strongly suggest, if it's just you in business, you're the main one, you're probably got some really good clients or one client in specific you want to work with, okay? And life is about building relationships, coming from my first book, The Ultimate Guide to Spa and Salon Business, okay? And I wrote for Spa Canada. I went, everything is relationship, and people would spend so much money on architect, hundreds of thousands of dollars on building the spa, and when it came to training the staff to work with clients, I said, nobody comes to the big arena to sit and watch a hockey game. They come to watch the players. And so people are the players. So whatever size your business is, and if you do want success, great time right now to say, I'm going to invest in self and particular business people, and maybe have a group retreat, and we're there. This business report is $100, and that shows you for 2 people. You get it in an email form. Michael can consult with you if that's what you want. Number 2, it's very, very easy to do. So think about it, because it's a return on investment. And what is
I think it's a tax write-off too, wouldn't it?
Yes, it is perfect. It is a tax write-off. Okay, excellent point. And so subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please share this with other people. And next week we will have another very informative video for you to raise your consciousness, not have to go through so much struggle. I think that's about it, Michael.
Awesome.
Did I miss anything?
Thanks for listening. No, I think it's great, and we'll call an end to our little podcast.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Have a super day.